fourth episode of Gridiron Glory. I'm Alexander Cook. Unfortunately, Cole Wolfgang not able to make it. We were unable to tweet this weekend as well, and the reason was that we both had to fulfill commitments. We believe that this upcoming weekend will be a normal weekend, just like our first weekend, week 7 of college football action, week 6 of NFL action, and this week, nothing disappointed. But in this podcast, we're going to talk about both the World Series and college football, and we'll start with the World Series on Tuesday, October 25th. The Indians blew out the Cubs 6-0, and then the next day for Game 2 on October 26th, the Cubs took care of business against the Indians 5-1. Friday, October 28th, the Cubs lost in a close, low-scoring matchup where the Indians ended up getting a 1-0 lead. And then Saturday, October 29th, the Indians blew out the Cubs 7-2. Unbelievable, and the Cubs looked like they were gone. But then last night, Sunday, October 30th, the Cubs somehow pull away with a 3-2 win at Wrigley. And people talk about how they can't win at Wrigley. Well, they just did. So, huge win there for the Cubs, as they will need to win 2 straight after this if they want to win the series. You still got the Indians with a 2-game advantage. And how about our Saturday slate in college football? Let's start out with number 2, Michigan, on the road to play Michigan State. And Michigan struggled a little bit. They got an early 30-10 lead, but then they kind of blew it. Michigan State came back, and they were within 9 at the end of the game. The final score was 32-23, a blocked PAT by Jabril Peppers, and maybe he's the X factor in that game. And what a playmaker he is. He'll have certainly an argument in the Heisman conversation if he keeps it up, especially against Ohio State and in the Big Ten Championship later in the year. Okay, let's continue. We have now number 24, Penn State, taking on Purdue, and Penn State blew out Purdue 62-24. 1 point is very close game, but Purdue let up late, just like they did against Nebraska. And we'll talk about Nebraska in just a second. Tennessee, number 18, on the road against South Carolina. Things didn't go well. The troubles continue for Rocky Top as they participate in a Rocky flop against South Carolina, who somehow win 24-21. Tennessee looked so good early on, but they've really gone downhill since. Oklahoma blows out Kansas, no big surprise there, 56-3, your final score. Number 15, Auburn at Ole Miss, and despite Ole Miss's record, there's certainly a hard team to play, but Auburn finds a way to win. They're very close early on, but after the third quarter, Auburn pulled away. Your final score 40-29. Number 14, Florida taking on Georgia. Neutral site game, always a big one. This time, Florida getting it done 24-10. You know that Florida's not going to put big points on the board, but their defense comes up big when it needs to. How about an intriguing game? Number 13, Boise State on the road to face Wyoming, and it takes a touchdown and a 2-point conversion from Wyoming to let them tie it up with Boise. So you got 28-28. You're thinking overtime. Boise State's got the ball, and then safety. How did Wyoming do that? Now they got 30-28 lead, and they're going to hold on to win. Huge win for that Cowboy program over in Laramie. Then you got number 10, West Virginia, on the road against Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State got the job done, 37-20 at home. And something to point out, number 18, Tennessee, also was on the road against South Carolina. So you already got 3 teams on the road who lost. Then you got Baylor taking on Texas, and Texas somehow winning. Baylor had a 34-32 lead, but then Texas with a beautiful field goal to give them the win. And now we've got unranked Northwestern on the road at Ohio State, hoping for the win. At one point, they were tied. At other times, it looked like Northwestern had the leg up, and then Ohio State marched it down the field, got the job done, 24-20, your final score. Northwestern marched it down the field in the end, but it just wasn't enough. It was quite a game at the Horseshoe. Ohio State looking overrated, just not really a great team that we thought they were before then. Now it's time for number 5, Louisville, getting tripped up on the road against Virginia, or so it looked like it for a long time before Louisville comes back and wins 32-25. Louisville just hasn't been consistent. They have these huge wins, like that humongous blowout against NC State, and then they go on the road to Charlottesville and play terribly, yet get the win. And the thing is, Charlottesville isn't a particularly tough place to play. We're not trying to take anything away from them, but they gave them Cardinals everything they had, but Cardinals pull away. Just sometimes they look like the best team in the nation, others they look absolutely horrendous. And now for the ranked matchups of the night. Number 7, Nebraska taking on number 11, Wisconsin. A close game. At one point, Wisconsin had a 17-7 lead, but then they blew it. Nebraska ties things up, and now we've got a 17-17 game. It goes into overtime. Wisconsin strikes first. The Badgers have a touchdown lead, but the extra point is no good. So now you're looking at Nebraska easily able to take this, to get out of Camp Randall if they can score a touchdown and an extra point. Just troubles all day for Wisconsin's kicking team. Drew Endicott missed a field goal. He's 1 of 2 on the day, and then he's 2 of 3 on the day for extra points. Terrible time to miss a field goal. An extra point. And then you got Nebraska just not able to do anything. What a defensive battle that was. Great job by the Wisconsin defense shutting them down. And in overtime, Wisconsin slips away 23-17. And now we've got number 4 Washington on the road at number 17 Utah. Tough place to play. Washington, quick lead, 14-0 Huskies, and they've gotten off to a lot of quick leads, but they pull away? No way. The Utah Utes come back. In fact, they take the lead, 17-14. A back-and-forth game, but in the end, Washington prevails. The Huskies win it 31-24. It's a great Utah team. So, Utah fought hard and they could have won, but what a win for Washington. They look pretty legitimate to me. Then you've got the game of the day, number 3 Clemson at number 12 Florida State. Clemson wins 37-34. However, it was quite a game. At times, Clemson had a nice lead, but then Florida State crawls back. At one point, Clemson had a 17-7 lead. They blew it. It's pretty low scoring for the ACC for a while, and then it was high scoring. Once again, quite a game, and just perfect for that primetime atmosphere on Saturday Night Football on ABC. Now it's time for our top 3 performances, and at number 1, I've got to go with Wisconsin. getting the job done. And what a game over there, and just a great way to win against a good Nebraska team. And then at number 2, I've got Clemson being Florida State, showing they're for real. Even though Florida State's had 3 losses, it shows they're really for real. Clemson's been on and off, and a lot of people predicted that to happen. But nice win for the Tigers, nevertheless. At number 3, how about Wyoming knocking off number 13, Boise State? Very impressive in Laramie for the Cowboys. And now it's time for our college football playoff top 25. And we'll be talking about this a lot. I'm sure Cole unhappy that I missed this part of the show, but let's start with who's trending upward and who's trending downward here. We'll start with who was at number 25 in the beginning here, and you know who that was. It was the fantastic, so Washington State is only trending upward. Let's look at the AP top 25 before we get to the college football playoff picks for the top 25. At number 25 right now, you got Washington State. Number 24, you've got Boise State. Number 23, you got Virginia. Number 22, you got Oklahoma State. Number 21, you got Colorado. Number 20, you got Penn State. Number 19, Florida State. Number 18, UNC. Number 17, Western Michigan. Number 16, Utah. Number 15, LSU. Moving up. Number 14, West Virginia. Number 13, Baylor. Number 12, Oklahoma. Number 11, Auburn. Number 10, Florida. Number 9 was Nebraska. Number 8, Wisconsin. Number 7, Texas A&M. Number 6, Ohio State. Number 5, Louisville. Number 4 was Washington. Number 3, Clemson. Number 2, Michigan. Number 1, you know who's there, Alabama. So let's just talk about who's in here and who is going to be out, who's going to be in. Let's start with Washington State here. Are they trending upward? Of course. There's a good chance they'll be in that area of the rankings, the top 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Boise State definitely trending downward in this conversation. Virginia Tech definitely trending upward, bouncing back 2 straight great wins. Oklahoma State trending up after a nice win against West Virginia. Number 21, Colorado trending up. Number 20, Penn State looking feisty. They're definitely trending up. Number 19, Florida State. It's hard to say here because they look really good, but they didn't win. So I'm going to say neutral because I was impressed with their performance. Number 18, UNC, trending up. Not a huge game for them, but they are certainly trending up after some nice wins. They got blown out by Virginia Tech, but they've also lost to Georgia, which has definitely gone downhill. But some nice wins on their resume. They didn't play this past week. It was a bye. Number 17, Western Michigan, definitely trending up. Number 16, Utah. It's hard to say they're trending up or trending down. I've got to say they're trending up. They couldn't be trending down. They're either trending up or neutral. I'm going to say they're trending up. You got LSU, number 15. They're definitely trending up. They didn't play this week, but certainly trending up as they prepare for a huge matchup against Alabama. Number 14, West Virginia. They are certainly trending down after that loss against Oklahoma State. Number 13, Baylor. They're really trending down after an embarrassment against Texas. Number 12, Oklahoma, looking pretty solid, trending up. Number 11, Auburn, looking solid, trending up. Number 10, Florida. Nice win, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They are indeed trending up. Number 9, Nebraska. I think they're trending down a little bit, but they certainly have a chance against Ohio State next week. Number 8, Wisconsin, trending up after a huge win over the Huskers. Number 7, Texas A&M, huge, well, not a huge win, but an embarrassment of New Mexico State makes them trend upward. Number 6, Ohio State, trending downward for me. They haven't moved in the polls, but they did not look good against Northwestern, but not that impressive win for them. Number 5, Louisville. They're definitely trending down for me, but it's hard to move them. They're 7-1, and they're just like Ohio State. They're 7-1, and that's why the polls decide to keep them at number 5. Number 4, you got Washington, and I think they're trending up. The polls don't show any change, but of course, huge win for Clemson. But still, at number 3, they're trending upward after a nice win against Florida State. And then you got Michigan. I think they're neutral, but you could make the case that they're trending downward because they escaped against Michigan State, but at the same time, nice performance, especially early on. Number 1, Alabama, trending upward even though they didn't play. Alabama's always trending upward. In fact, they're neutral because they're going to be number 1. Now it's time for our top 5 picks, and for the college football playoff, this is probably pretty easy, except for that number 5 spot. We'll start there, however. I've got to put Ohio State there because, I think Louisville's been impressive, but Ohio State's got a signature one against now what we're looking at, a very good Oklahoma team. They beat Wisconsin, a very good team, as we know now. I think it's just overall more impressive. I wouldn't be surprised if they put Louisville there. Number 4, I would go with Washington. Not going to be much movement up there. Number 3, Clemson. Number 2, Michigan. Number 1, Alabama. And you pretty much know about them. And very good teams. They're not talking about the Heisman race. Lamar Jackson, just too many big games. He's still number 1 for me in that race. But it's getting more competitive as we speak. I've got Jabril, number 2. And what a block, and it's cool. It was a good game for him, to say the least, and I was impressed by what he was able to do against Michigan State. It was a nice win, and just a great job, I think, by him. But number 3, I've got to go with Jake Browning. What a game he had for the Huskies. He's been very impressive. Number 4, we've got to go to Deshaun Watson. And number 5, there's a new guy in town, and his name is Donald Pumphrey, who is the running back at San Diego State. He's having a monster year, and I think he's got a chance. And I don't think he's higher than Michigan. But I think that he's pretty good. So certainly a good guy to watch, and just San Diego State just doesn't have the advantage that other schools would have, but he's certainly a very exceptional guy, and we'll be looking forward to see the results of this Heisman Trophy. These things really change every week, and quite the impressive day for him as always. And now we're going to talk about the NFL games a little bit now. Of course, they've already happened. Normally we preview them, but the big games we had the Cowboys in that big one, and I had the Cowboys in that big one, and they did win. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And then I also had the Packers going on the road and getting a win in Atlanta. They did not. So that's just a little view on my picks, and it's harder to pick the NFL. I've learned that, and it's hard. I totally got the job done with college, but in the NFL, it's a lot harder. Let's just preview the Monday Night Football game tonight, though, as we speak. That's getting closer and closer. Chicago hosting Minnesota. This is just too easy. I've got to get this one right, and I've got to go Minnesota. Chicago's been a disaster. We saw them on Thursday Night Football. They look terrible, and they've just been a total disaster. One win against a very good, even though they lost to the Eagles, Minnesota team. I don't think they're going to get the win. And if anyone says so, please have a talk to me on Twitter at the Football Kids. That's at the Football Kids, because I love to have a nice heated debate with you on the Chicago Bears. And speaking of at the Football Kids, please follow us at the Football Kids. Now we're not able to tweet live game updates this weekend, but we should be able to in the foreseeable future, which means this week, the week after, and maybe even the week after that. But these things it's just hard because there's so much to do, and it's hard to fit everything in. So definitely, though, we'll respond to any tweets you have concerning college football and the NFL, and even some World Series. We'll talk World Series as well. So that's at the Football Kids. And please check out our blog at Gridiron Glory Sports Blog and check our latest post, which .weebly.com. So that's Gridiron Glory Sports Blog.weebly.com, and you'll want to check out our latest post, which is on Penn State, Ohio State. We should have a new post shortly on the college football game of the week. That's all from the studio. I'm Alexander Cook, and hopefully you'll see Cole. Well, you won't see him. You'll hear Cole tomorrow night for our regularly scheduled Tuesday night podcast. We should be able to do a Friday night podcast too, but once again, these things are day to day, and we do apologize for just not being able to do some of the things that we would like to do for you on these wonderful football weekends. Enjoy the World Series and enjoy college football. We'll see you tomorrow night. Well, you'll hear us tomorrow night. So long.